Thank you, dear Chair. Yes, women must have a good quality health care, especially when it concerns the unique contribution to our society of having babies. So, my opinion is, why would anyone, especially those calling themselves feminists, complain that the global abortion industry is losing some of its funding? Why are EU member states wanting to step up and fund a practice that harms women and babies? That is genocidal, economical disastrous, and anti-democratic, and anti-feminist, and anti-woman. And if someone has a different opinion, if President Trump decided for a different approach, it has to be respected. There are reasons. And also there are reasons which come from reverence. Reverence to life, reverence to dignity of life, reverence to the right to be born, to live, and reverence to those who cannot speak for themselves, for those who are unborn yet, and they not speak for themselves. So I strongly disagree with the Commission's intent to spend millions to export this barbarism to developing nations. Abortion has no healthcare benefits. There is none. And it cannot be called a health care. Abortion is not a health initiative, as Commissioner Stylianides has named it, because it cannot be called a basic health care. All of those valuable resources should be immediately redirected to provide real and maternal care to women, so that we can benefit from the next generation and not mourn them. Thank you very much for listening.
Ms. Lunacek, please ask your question.
Thank you, President. Mr. Skripek, can I ask you whether you have ever spoken to a woman who got pregnant even though she didn't want to? Because maybe the man she had sex with didn't want to use a contraceptive, or it broke, or she maybe have been raped. That even happens inside families. That happens by brothers, by husbands, etc. Have you ever spoken to any of them who said no, she did not want to have that child? And maybe just another question. Have you ever imagined what would happen if you were able to get pregnant and you wouldn't become pregnant? Would you then, maybe if the dire circumstances like we have in many countries in this world, would you then not decide that you will not want to have that and you want to have safety, a safe access also to abortion, because otherwise you could die and the child as well?
Proszę pana o odpowiedź. Prośba serdeczna. 30 sekund. 30 seconds, no more.
Okay, I don't know if I manage, but two questions along 50 seconds, probably you need to answer in 30 seconds. So, of course, I did speak to a lady who was in a difficult situation. What I condemned on this industry is that it's a mixing all reasons into one. Let's help children to be aborted, let's fund it. But the other side does not speak about the very different approach which admires life. This is what I'm missing on this pro-life and pro-choice debate. A lady does not kill its own body, cannot decide about its own body, because it's not her body. If she kills her body, she dies. After abortion, dies a baby, not a lady. Thank you.
You have the floor.
Well, I'm not sure what to say to Mr. Skripek, because I don't have the illusion that we're going to change his mind. Dear colleague Skripek, I firmly believe that women should decide on their own bodies, always.
And Mr. Skripek, I find it a shame that you are insulting family planning organizations here as an abortion industry who are sometimes risking their lives and their well-being to help women who are at risk of having serious health damage. I think that this is unbelievable and that we should not accept this as parliamentarians in this chamber, because they are doing great work. And sadly, we are talking about an old white man in the White House who, as one of his first actions in power, has threatened all of these things. Approximately $600 million can be lost. We cannot let this happen, Mr. Commissioner. So I urge you, increase the EU funding, counteract and fill this decency gap.
Mr. Skripek has raised the blue card, but I wouldn't want this to become a debate simply between Mr. Skripek and the lady members here.
Thank you, Commissioner. And before I close the debate, Mr. Skripek has asked to make a personal statement under Rule 164, which we will now invite him to do. But I would just observe that, as you will be aware, you may not speak on the substantive matter, but obviously address observations or rebut remarks that have been made about you in person. So I'll give you the floor under Rule 164. Thank you.
I shall not answer the question I was given, because I objected that I was named by Mrs. in 't Veld and by Mrs. Reintke, and I was named because of the content of this debate. So I feel my right to answer. So please explain me your objection. If I cannot speak about the content of this debate, because, you know, Mrs. in 't Veld did not attack me. She gave me a real question about this debate. Also Mrs. Reintke. So I don't feel attacked. I feel challenged by the question. And they named me by name.
Okay. As you know, I wasn't the President in office during that exchange. What I would propose then, rather than address this now, because the debate is now almost formally finished, is that in the minutes of the sitting, you could address the issue that was raised. Perhaps, had I been in the chair, I could be much more specific. But because this was left to the end of the session, and under Rule 164, there are very particular issues that can be addressed rather than the substance of the debate. So, with your permission, if you would be happy to address this in the minutes of the session, we could accommodate that. Thank you. Thank you.
So